nonviolent person.
You are not nonviolent.
I know.
You're very violent. There
Am
have been
I?
times, oh, dude. There have been times, he said, sipping his Froco Mappuccino thing.
It's pretty good.
Orange mocha frappuccino. Thank you, Zoolander, for that one. Oh, man. Gene, I'm worked up.
Oh.
I'm worked up. I'm fiery.
You're
I'm
fiery?
fiery. I'm feisty.
Let's get into it.
Change that R to an S. Now, are we going to keep that? Or that video thing? No, we'll get it out. Folks, I'm talking to you today. And you know what? I appreciate your patience with me. I do.
Oh, wow.
We have had that 2-minute intro for so long before you get to hear anything. And people, I love the podcast. I just have to hit fast forward 15 seconds 8 times and then bam.
People say that?
No, I just made that up because
I
got tired of it. I don't even listen to the podcast and I'm sick of fast forwarding. So there you go.
Yeah, that's how it works.
See, the challenge becomes, how do we then thank our sponsors?
I think you should say thank you.
Like Parallax.
Yeah.
You know Parallax, right?
I love them.
You do? Do you use them?
No. But they're good people.
Do you notice the awkward silence?
Yes, I did.
It was just a couple of seconds, but for me, that's like 2 hours.
Mm.
Parallax is awesome. You need them. Just go hire them.
Okay.
They're friends of mine. I don't get a kickback. Well, okay, maybe a small one. It's not a kickback. It's an upfront payment. That's not the point.
That's not the point.
Your stuff is good. It's going to help you run your operations. Gene, there's some stuff going on in the world of web services. Did you know that?
I hope so.
People are selling their shops.
Really?
They're trying to.
How do you do that?
Well, I'm here to tell you, it's not as easy as some people will tell you it is.
No, I would imagine not.
I'm here to tell you, some people tell you. I wish I could speak as well as I write. I need an editor in my brain as the words come out.
Some of us do.
Here's the thing, Gene. You may have heard that it's been kind of hard to run a shop over the past couple of years.
I've heard that. I've heard that from a few people.
I mean, you've had to supplement your income with this podcast. And that's going really well.
It is, man. Thanks to
Parallax. You might just shut down period 3 because
a professional bureau podcaster.
You have got it. You are rocking it. No, I mean, look back at the episodes that we've had. Read the issues of the newsletter. Wow, we got so much work, but we can't hire anybody. Oh my God, we're losing our core team. How are we going to get this work done? It's like, it's such a struggle. And a few things I want to share today. One is around the idea of using brokers to sell your shop. And I think if you get a reputable broker, it can be great. But I think like anything, like coaches, brokers, consultants, there are a handful of really good ones and a shit ton of charlatans.
I think that would probably be an area where it would be more the latter.
And I looked up the word charlatans and I am using it properly.
That's a
first. I want you to know that. Snake oil salesperson, I think, is unfair to the snakes. I don't want to do that. No, so it's I had this conversation with David Baker. You know, if you don't know who David is, Two Bob's podcast, amazing. He's got a book, The Business of Expertise, which is stellar. I've read it a couple of times now because it's just, he's not sponsoring, by the way. But buy his book because damn it, the man deserves more people to buy his book. I'm pretty sure I borrowed a copy. Okay, whatever. No, but there's more opportunity right now than ever for a broker to get in and talk with owners who are kind of on the ropes. You know, they've been trying to get their shops going. They don't, I think, based on what I'm seeing, right? And I have a different perspective than a lot of people because I watch conversations with hundreds of shops and I talk to dozens each month. I think we are kind of starting to get out of this. People are starting to see things settle down. people are taking jobs. Some roles are still harder to fill. Some roles are being filled with less seasoned people, but they will
Mm.
get there. And there are some folks who are just like, you know what? There's never been a better opportunity to sell. I hear people are getting 10 to 12 times, you know, the worth. And depending on how you evaluate it with EBITDA or whatever you're looking at there, most people are really getting 4 to 7 times that, which is still great. But there are people out there saying it's 10 to 12. There are
I don't,
people who you got to be careful.
how does that work, man? Like,
How does
how do
Are
you
you going to
get
ask me about math?
10 times? Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, so when you get your shop evaluated, there are all these different metrics that happen, right? It's
Right.
like how much recurring revenue do you have? How much turnover is there in that? How much of your business is single projects? All this type of stuff. If you have a lot of recurring revenue, then you'll get a higher multiple
Oh,
on the
sure.
value,
Okay.
right?
I see.
If you, yeah, what? No,
Makes sense.
if you're gonna interrupt me, fucking say something.
I
Okay,
figured it out.
so that was so aggressive. Oh my God, did you see
Uh,
that? That
uh,
was amazing. Hey, if y'all are listening on audio, check it out on YouTube because I just about punched this guy through the screen while he's drinking his damn latte.
you can try.
Oh, I could punch you.
Maybe.
And I can run, not that fast, but for a
I
long way.
you
You will
can,
have a tough time catching me.
bro, I will never catch you. I've tried.
So anyway, just I guess the thing I'm trying to get to is it's a feeding frenzy right now
Hmm.
for brokers and other people who are going to get a piece of selling your organization. And I think there are some good brokers out there. I think that there are a lot who are riding this wave,
Mhm.
and then they're going to shift, right? And
Mhm.
and I was supposed to have a call with somebody who had founded one of the more popular ones, and I have to acknowledge that that call got canceled about 5 minutes before it was supposed to happen. It never got rescheduled. There was no reason why. There was nothing. And yeah, it annoyed me. So I'm taking on the whole industry. Okay, everybody's no. Here's the thing. I know some people who've gone through brokers, ones that I like and ones that I'm questioning, um, and they got through the other side. But what happens is you get in there and you're promised the stars and the moon, right? And then, oh well, we weren't aware of this. We're gonna have to scale back a little. And where a lot of shops are selling in like 3 months to 6 months, there's also a fee that you pay to
Mm.
be taken on.
Of course.
That fee 2 or 3 years ago was around $500 to $1,000 a month. Now it's up to $5,000 a month. I'm sure it's different. I know it's different across different people that are helping out. But I guess the thing that's getting me is a lot of times people were just getting worn down, and you enter that process, people are going to know. So now you kind of hit this point of no return
Hmm.
because your team knows or other people in the industry may know. And so you get there and you get exhausted and you let them just beat you down. And I guess that's the thing I wanted to do today. This whole episode is a hot take to just say, take a breath. You don't necessarily have to sell. And if you do want to sell, you don't have to go through a broker. You probably do need a consultant. You need a good lawyer. You need a good CPA. You need somebody who understands valuation. Um, but it's a buyer's market right now.
Hmm.
So it's just like the housing market, right? It's like it's going to be, well, that's a seller's market. I got that wrong, Gene. It's
You
the
did.
exact opposite of the housing market. I'm on the wrong side of both.
You're screwed.
I am done. But I guess that's it. And I know I'm coming in here all
Well,
like
take a
guns
second.
blaring, but I want people to realize enter with caution. Any relationship where somebody is going to make money off of you selling something.
Well, take a second. So, if you buy commercial property or you buy a house, you go
Mhm.
through a broker and they're licensed. There's a governing board of people. They have to take a test. They have to go to classes. They have to get all this stuff. Is that the same in the business? Is it basically just a lawyer calling themselves a broker? Like, how does that machination work?
I don't think I could be totally wrong, but I don't think there's any licensing mechanism
Yeah.
for
So,
selling
I
somebody
mean,
else's
I
business.
don't see how there could be. That's why I asked that question. So, I mean, like
Ooh.
like I could just call myself a broker
Yeah, you could, and you'll probably get a few calls this afternoon.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I think that's important to keep in mind. That's like, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
I
Well, I
mean,
mean,
are they even a lawyer? Are they even an accountant? Like, who is this person?
what is their history, right? So
Yeah.
if you look at somebody who, say, has been in the digital services space for a long time and they really understand it, maybe they had a shop and they sold it
Mm-hmm.
and they did well, and then they've decided that they want to help others do that. Okay, that's one path into it, sure. And that's
Mm-hmm.
probably a good path. You've got the experience, you know what it feels like. You want to help others. Then there are people who were a coach who like tagged on
Mm-hmm.
broker because they saw an opportunity. And this is the type, and it's not always just a coach. Sometimes it could have been a broker in another industry. It could have been
Oh
any of
yeah, yeah,
these.
yeah, yeah.
But what I'm being exposed to now that I've been to some of these broker sites and I've signed up for some of these newsletters is it is a nonstop um, just flow of sending metrics out of shop. Um,
Yeah, that
you
seems like
know,
a good giveaway.
they're this big, they have this much recurring, this is the space they're in, this type of thing. But it's so many that it's exhausting. And
Mm,
and I think the reason it's so many is it's like any level. I mean, it's a numbers game for them. You
right,
know, the more
right.
people they can get signed up, the more monthlies they're going to have,
Mm-hmm.
right? The more that they can sell. Some are taking up to 10%
Huh.
of the purchase price too. And all of this is stuff that gets negotiated after you start. I've talked to almost 15 shop owners right now, some who pulled the plug and didn't end up selling, some who went
Mm,
all the way through the process. Um, I
mm.
just, I, it's like we need a public service announcement, that it's, seller beware
Well,
because
yeah.
there's
There's a
some horror
lot.
stories out there
There's
right
a
now.
lot. There's a lot there, man. Have you ever sold anything that you've created?
Nothing in my whole life. I've never sold a damn thing. And except you, I sold you on doing this podcast and editing it. So thank you for that.
I got
Um,
screwed.
you
Um,
did multiple times.
no, I meant like anything you've created in terms of business.
Yeah, I did try. Um, and you know this story, and I'm not gonna share names. But I was at a point where
Mm,
I was out of love with Engine. I was exhausted. I had people I was trying to take care of, and
hmm.
something showed up that was too good to be true, and
Well,
I just ignored all my senses and made a choice to move forward with it. And in the end, I ended up upside down a couple $100,000 because I trusted somebody,
hmm,
and that's on me. That person didn't necessarily deserve my trust. I was in a vulnerable moment, and that's what I'm
hmm,
seeing. I think that's you just nailed it. That's part of why this is so emotional for me,
hmm.
is because I know there are other owners out there right now who are in that emotional moment, and
Yeah,
you got to take a breath. If you are going to go with a broker, shop multiple brokers.
and
Um, Call
get
me
you a
for
battle
God's
buddy.
sakes.
Yeah, call Carl. Like his number is
Yeah,
347. No, you just get you a battle buddy
it's not
too.
my
Like
number.
get somebody to like stay up late and talk to or something, like get somebody that's going to look out for you, is going to have your back. I mean, I know it's easier said than done sometimes, but like, man, if you're getting something that's like sounds too good to be true, you need a sounding board in a person to just be like, what
Yeah.
does this feel like to you? And if they're a good person, they'll say like, sounds like horse shit. They'll
I
tell you
mean,
that.
yeah, and a lot of the stories that I'm hearing are very much you, you need them.
Hmm.
You're not going to be able to make this happen without them.
Right.
That they're going to get you the best. They're going to take care of everything for you, and that's the
Mhm.
way that it starts. And then, like I mentioned, over time, you get whittled down until you just give up and say, "I
Right.
just want it to be over with."
That makes
Um,
sense.
and it's painful. It's like a long, drawn out, beat down sales process.
Hmm.
But that said, there are some people. I mean, I was just watching somebody say that they were closing their shop today.
I saw that too. Yep.
Yeah. And it's one of those where you see it and you're like, you know what? Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know the individual's situation. I don't know, like, financial or family or whatever. I don't know any of that stuff, but I know that it felt like the right decision for that person.
Yeah.
And as much as it was just a really quick post and some other people gathering around, I mean, that's one of the things that's beautiful about the Bureau, especially even in the Slack, is where somebody's having a bad day and people jump in to help, you know? But I don't know that this was a bad day. I think even the way that it was stated, it was like, I'm so ready to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it. But anyway, I think there are a lot of legitimate reasons for selling. I think being burned out is a perfectly good one. But I also think, you know, and this is something that, I mean, there are people in the community. Like if you look at Mark O'Brien over at Newfangled, he bought Newfangled. He was an employee. The owner wanted out. Actually, David Baker was the one who facilitated that whole thing. And so I think there are ways that you can continue the company without it getting kind of taken to a chop shop, right? And let somebody inside take over. And it's the buyout might take a little bit longer, but I think there are ways to do it like that. Or another great story that I heard recently. It's an individual shop. It's one person, but they've got kind of like an umbrella where they've got different freelancers that are hiring to come in. It's a model a lot of people do, and they happen to be good friends with somebody who was running an advertising agency that didn't have a very strong digital presence. And they were able to, you know, they added a lot of value for that buyer.
Right.
A lot of people would look at them and say, yeah, your numbers are great, but it's just you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't guarantee anything. And I bet a broker would have walked away from that right away. But that person is getting a really high multiple. And you know why? Because they found the person who needed to buy what they had built. And I think that's getting lost. Nobody is looking. Okay, I'm making a broad generalization here, but I firmly believe it. I don't think when you end up in these big, like, buffets, which is what it feels like, right? It's like suddenly there's a Zillow for buying a web shop. And you just see all of these like shops out there. You have no idea kind of the DNA. You have no idea what went into them.
Right.
You just know numbers.
Right.
And most shops, when they're acquired at the end of 3 years, I've heard, and 5 years, I've heard. But after that time frame, none of the original people are still there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you got acquired into another culture, and you're tired. But everybody listening, I know I'm kind of all over the place here, and Gene is just looking at me like, should I call the police? Are you okay? Just take a breath.
That's good advice.
Really think about this. If you spend 5 years, 10 years, 20 years building this, don't decide in 1 week that you're going to listen to somebody else who doesn't know you at all and really is just looking to load up their portfolio so that they have a better chance of making some bank.
That makes sense, man.
Either that or we should just start a brokerage.
Hey.
You know what? And we'll give 10% back.
Wait.
And keep 90.
90?
Yeah, baby. That's how that
What kind of brokerage are you running?
A broker-ridge. I'm going to make you broker.
That's really good. That's in there.
You like that? You like
careful.
that?
Be careful.
I didn't come up with that.
Damn.
Have you ever? Think it was kind of funny.
Put yourself on the other side, though. Have you ever acquired any other company or anything?
No.
What about the Bureau?
Okay. Yes.
I was trying to set you up. That softball hit you right in the face.
I don't even know. I'm like one of those dogs on TikTok. The ball just hits them, and they're like, "Why did you throw that to me?"
What day is it?
That's right. Okay. Yes, I did. I acquired the Bureau, and you know what? That was a totally different situation. So Greg Hoy wanted to reboot Happy Cog, and he knew he couldn't do both. He couldn't do Booth.
Booth.
Suddenly, like a weird English Canadian.
He could do Booth.
He couldn't do Booth. And so I knew, I mean, we were going through something with my family, and I knew that I had to either reboot Engine or make the Bureau really where I could live and so take care of everybody. And so it was a very gracious, and yeah. So I acquired it, but I don't think I went through any kind of, I mean, there was no valuation. There was no, we looked at what the actual assets of the
Mhm.
organization were. We looked at
You did
uh,
your own valuation.
pretty much,
Yeah.
he said, what about this? And I said, sounds good. You know, I mean, that was kind of the whole deal. You
Wait,
know,
what did I
there
do?
was a piece of paper. I found it the other day. And there was, you know, and the other thing was the terms were so great. Like I bought, I bought it from Greg over the course of, I want to say, a year or maybe 2 years. So it was like super
Yeah.
chill,
But
you
I
know?
bring that up because you can acquire another business, you can acquire a company, you could sell your company, and it doesn't have to be so, like, legally and, like, complicated, you know? I mean, you pulled it off. I mean,
I mean,
what like,
yeah.
when you think about what was Greg's alternative? To just stop?
Um,
I mean, or go through a process like that where it's, like, all this shit and figuring stuff out with some stranger, you know? I mean, you can do this stuff.
yeah. I mean, so that's what it is, right? I guess this is the ultimate part of what rubs me wrong about this. Um, every owner I've ever met has put so much of their heart
Mhm.
into the organization. And then if they decide they want to merge with another organization, like we call them bureau babies, and we've had a half dozen, where a new organization comes out of two existing ones, and
Oh,
well,
right.
that didn't sound good. And
That ain't no baby.
but it's two people who like the way the others were operating.
Right.
They saw where together they would be stronger,
Mhm.
and they made that decision. Or it may have been a small shop that knew they'd be able to do more stuff with the larger one. You know, there's some great people in the community like Andy Graham, Dusty Gullison,
Mhm.
others who have done a lot of these acquisitions. And so when we get some of them on the show to talk about it, somebody who's a
I
little more experienced versus just a little upset.
I think it'd be great to talk to Andy in particular. I mean, I know she's just recently acquired a couple
Yeah.
of businesses.
Yeah. And I mean, and that to me, I think the way that she looks at it is not just a, hey, we'll now have these tools in our toolbox,
Mhm.
but it's we'll have this add to our culture.
Mhm.
We'll have these other people. And, you know, those things don't always work out.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, if you're looking at it, I think there are a lot of options other than just selling as fast as you can.
Mhm.
And, uh, and that's it. I just don't think most of the brokers that I've seen, read about, or talked to, with a handful of exceptions, um, they don't really seem invested in the individual or the legacy. Maybe they can't because there's just too many numbers. There's just too many coming through.
That's probably something to look at too, is this broker is reaching out to you, like, do they sell gas stations? You know, they sell, like, dentist office? I mean, or they do they only work in this industry? Like,
Or
because
did they?
or
Did they
did they?
used to? Like what?
Whatever, like,
What's the history? Yeah,
yeah, I mean, did
I
they
think
sell a
that's
car
really
dealership to somebody else, and now they're like, "Hey, I can do a marketing agency or a web firm." Like, what are we doing here?
well. And the thing is, it only takes doing it once or twice successfully, or being able to frame it
Sure.
successfully, um, for that to happen. But you know what? I'm looking up and we're 23 minutes in, and I swear to God, I don't know a word I've said because it's been raw emotion today, just like coming through it. But I think if you're on, if you're out there and you're thinking now is the best time for me to sell and I'm ready, you know, it could be, for example, I'm 54, right? So if you look at other people who are still running shops, they're in their 60s, and
Mhm.
that is a transition that's going to happen if you want it to or not. So there are times
Yeah,
where you absolutely have to. There are
right.
people, but like anything, I'll say like getting a line of credit, right? You want to get a line of credit when you don't need it. That's the key. It's like when you've got the money and the bank won't see the risk,
Mhm.
that's when you do it.
Mhm.
If you want to sell your shop, you need to do it when it's not urgent,
Right.
when your shop is doing great. Like if you're thinking at some point in the future, in the next 5 years, I really want to go ahead and sell the shop, make sure it's on an up note,
Yeah,
you know? Um, it'll be
that's a
better for
great point.
you, better for the team, better for everybody.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Well, then if that was a great point, I don't know why we're still talking.
I'm not.
I think that was the first one. No, we're gonna. The newsletter this week was on this, and it was a little more organized in thought than kind of what I'm spewing out here right now. But we're gonna have another issue or two on it, and really not just the kind of seller beware part, but also, what kind of broker? What do you look for in a broker, right? I think that's what the next issue will be about. It's just like, how do you know that you've got a reputable broker? And the easiest way is that it's a referral from somebody you know and trust who had a good experience.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
All right. So that issue's done.
All right.
Okay. So, Gene, I don't know. Should we sell the podcast?
How much do I get?
I will give you a solid 50%.
Ooh, let's sell it.
No?
Nah, we just start another one up.
Well, we might have a non-compete. We're pretty good at this. All right, Gene.
All right, man.
Let's call it for the day, everybody. Please support your local Parallax, and we'll be back here next week.
Sounds good.
I won't be as angry.
Maybe
I will.
I have all faith.